Hi, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? It's weird that I'm talking to like empty space. Okay, great. You guys can hear me. Lovely. Oh, Luna can't hear me. Oh, dear. Can anybody else? You guys got me. It's 8 a.m. here, and I haven't had coffee yet. So, yes, you can get me quite easily right now. Well, welcome everybody. This is the Ubuntu, the Canonical Office Hour. We thought we'd do a little bit of an Ubuntu Q&A. It's me and Marco today. Marco, are you around? Are you there? Okay. Well, I think Marco's there, but maybe just muted. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Sorry, chatting with Marco over here. Okay. Anyways, he'll speak up when he can. Okay. So, anyways, I just wanted to introduce myself and Marco. We are both here. And I know I saw Marco in the chat earlier, so he's there. Marco's done a lot of work on the getting Gnome 40 into Ubuntu, and I do other things on the desktop team at Ubuntu, like work on snaps and LibreOffice and just bug fixes and like just lots of cool things. I really enjoy my job. So I've been at Canonical for almost 2 years now, and I'm not sure how long Marco's been there for, but everybody's been
Hello.
there. Hey, Marco, you're there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Well, now there's just static, so maybe just mute yourself, and I'll go through the slides, okay? Marco, can you hear me? Can you mute yourself? Okay. Yeah, so anyways, I wanted to point out this is the job site. You folks can all go take a look at the Canonical career openings. And yeah, so we'll go through a few slides here, and then yeah, like Christy said, just put your questions in the shared notes, and then I'll go take a look there. Okay, next slide. Here we go. Okay. This is what Gnome 40 looks like. It's beautiful. Marco, do you want to speak to this?
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Because I couldn't hear anything before.
Yes, we hear you now.
Okay, sorry. So I don't know. Okay, so 1 second, because I didn't notice they were started already. So because it was all completely muted.
Hey, Marco, can you turn down the gain on your microphone just a bit?
Is it fine now?
Yeah, oh, that's much better. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if you already introduced us, but yeah. Okay, I'm Marco. I work at Canonical with Heather.
How long have you been at Canonical, Marco?
I don't know, like 10 years almost, like 9 years now.
Wow. Okay. And so this is.
So yeah, I've been contributor for Gnome in the last years, working a bit everywhere where I can help, let's say. So yeah, these have been mostly the work to get GNOME 40 in Ubuntu, which has been also lots of downstream work, mostly of upstream, which was at the end reduced the fact of getting a great job has been done by upstream and fixing the few bugs that were around, like especially for memory issues on builders. And since, for example, in Debian and Ubuntu, we build on some wild architecture, for example, we sometimes find memory issues which other architectures aren't showing. So in general, all this downstream work helps a lot to improve the quality of GNOME. Very low level things, but at the end are bringing good stuff to everybody. So during the last months, especially, I've been focused into these, so getting all the things together a bit late compared to the normal cycles, because the amount of work was huge, and mostly because we ship extensions, so many, but enough. In the sense that we ship mainly three extensions in Ubuntu. One is the desktop indicators new generation, which wasn't basically affected because it's nowadays a GDK application, so was working as it was. Also, the upstream there is amazing. It's doing great work without us basically doing much. The app indicators, which were also needed some love because there were some bugs and memory issues, but mostly were working. But the huge work has been done on the dock, because as you know, the new GNOME 40 has the dock on the bottom side, which is a bit different to what it was before. So we need to basically readapt the things in order to make it work. But I have to say the big work of this has been done by another great GNOME contributor, which has been doing basically all the 40 porting, who basically make it started and make it work for us and for all the community, which is a great community. Ivan Welsh, which is also a fellow contributor of GJS and many other places. But most of his work has been, amazing in order to get the dock running. Then there were, since the dock was mostly thought to be running on the bottom, and many were using like how to hide and stuff like that, there were other stuff to adapt. So has been a joint union. He's been working it initially. Then we continued on that. And hopefully will be also ready for everybody's using the dock from extensions gnome.org soon. All the work we have been done is all upstream, as all a merge proposal, so everybody can take advantage of it.
That sounds good. Since you're talking about like our contributions, you want me to go to the next couple of slides, where I think we kind of laid out some of the Ubuntu contributions to it.
Yeah, the past year I've been involved in various things. Personally, I've been mostly doing the authentication support for, let's say, things like fingerprint support, which I've been working on for some time with Benjamin on libfprint and fprintd, which we ported completely to use GDBus and using Toolkit in a secure way, because before he was prone to some possible attacks, or couldn't be secure. For example, a very simple thing, which might, at least from the user point of view, is that when you enroll a new fingerprint, you need you're now required to enter a password, which seems a silly thing, but it implied lots of back-end work in order to make it work properly and securely. So we made it work. We improved a lot of testing. It's now really like a project which is now, thanks to the work, let's say, between us and Red Hat, Benjamin, a big work in order to get lots of new features and stability to fingerprint support. Plus, this led to UI improvements for the Gnome to have a more modern interface to our own fingers. It's not yet finished, but we are there. I mean, in the sense that it's already merged, and it's there. I think it merged in the 39 window already, I think. But in any case, we still need to adapt to things, improve it a lot. But the main work has been done there. Also, authentication side, I mean, we improved the way for example, the fingerprint errors are handled, or lots of GDM shell chit chatting in order to handle this properly. This is still a lot of things to do there in order to make the fingerprint a first-class authentication method, because it works right now, but there are some improvements of things you expect in these days from this kind of authentication, which are not yet done. But all the design work on that has been done for years. It's just about and then also on authentication side, we improved the smart card authentication, porting all the support for smart cards to using P11 kit, which is basically now the default, and that it's now, for example, the only backend that SSSD supports. So, for example, I think even Fedora right now, the only way in order to get a smart card, their authentication through SSSD is using the PL11 kit, and so that the support was missing. Of course, that led also to some minor work on the shell in order to improve things. Some stuff is still in the works, but it's there. Plus, there have been lots of work from Daniel on the shell and Matter. Daniel Bavut, who has been doing mostly performance work, which is there for a few years now, like trying to improve low-level things with upstream, and it has been mentioned also in the shell talk the first day. So you might have some more details. What else? Always on the shell, we've been, focusing mostly the shell, but not only, because we've been also doing lots of work in GJS. Also look at the great talk from Paul came into yesterday, which Philip, sorry, Philip, yesterday, which has been really interesting, and mentioned all the work that has been done in the last cycle. And from our point of view, we've been mostly working again on memory improvements, better thread safety, which it's not easy to manage, because JS is a single thread system, at least if you don't use workers, which you can't in JS. It's a single thread system where you have to deal with applications. We might use different threads, and also during these threads, signals, or basically, for example, changing the ref counting objects, and so GJS might get crazy handling this. So I've been doing lots of work on that, adding tests, doing weird and wild things in order to try to figure out what was working. So I think at the beginning of the Gnome 40 cycle, GJS was quite crashy, and because change we did, and hopefully that led to improving other things later. And so plus we continue with some cleanups and so, random work of trying to help in small things. Of course, we would like to help the most we can, but the people involved in Gnome development in our team is not many, so we need to try to do the most we can with the resources we have. So yeah, this is other views of the Gnome Shell 40. Like, how's it look? Basically, it's just Gnome 40 with at the end Yaru also to mention, which is our team and our community of people doing teams for us about GTK and Shell, and you can basically see their results here, both icons, teams, GTK teams, GTK4 teams, Shell, and everything.
It looks very nice. It looks very nice. So I encourage everybody to go download an impish ISO and install it in a VM, and give it a shot if you haven't tried out Gnome 40. We're at GUADEC, so I assume most people have. But it is really beautiful, and I appreciate all of the work that's gone into it, both from within Canonical and outside. Okay, so thank you very much, Marco, for kind of walking us through some of the Ubuntu contributions to Gnome. I see there's some questions, so maybe we can talk a little bit about those. All right, so let's see. The first question: I know that Ubuntu is based on Debian, but I'm wondering what makes Ubuntu different than Debian at the core and the desktop level.
So, it's, for example, there are things as Ubuntu maintainers, for example, for Gnome, what we do is also packaging for when it's needed, mostly, and when we can help Debian packages for Debian. So, for example, for Debian 40, given that for Gnome 40, given that Debian was frozen for the new release, we did most of the work of packaging for Debian first, and then to package the same in Ubuntu. And we try to very hard to avoid, at this point, custom patching for Ubuntu. There are some things which happens all the time. For example, for the any package which is compiled in Ubuntu, which is coming from Gnome, as a different link for the translations, because I'm passing through Launchpad, or there are few customizations which are happening to all the packages. Then there are other cases, for example, where we need to do some patches, for example, because some dependencies which are optional, which are freely enabled in Debian, are not maintained by Ubuntu main repository. Main repository is basically the repository that where Canonical guarantees that we have security checks and security updates. We basically do SRU, so stable release updates frequently on that. The difference is that Debian can be so you can contribute to those packages to Debian, and they almost end up to be the same that will end up in Ubuntu, but sometimes there are customizations. For example, of course, the shell and matter Debian, because there's no Debian interest on that. But in general, our point of view is to try to get everything to Debian the most we can, so we can have a shared code base. And then it's up mostly to configuration size. So Ubuntu per se is just a selection of the best of Debian and a selection of things that we think are working better, and trying to configure that in a proper way for according to our users' preferences, and that's it. But at the core
I'd say
level,
like
let's
the
say.
release cycle too, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
they're old, and so because Ubuntu has the 6-month release cycle, we're always pushing out new
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I was mostly trying to, to address the core of the packaging level, I think.
Yeah.
So this was the question, if I get.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, thanks. What's the state of Ubuntu when it comes to ARM due to many devices using ARM? I think we're doing pretty good there. I mean, we have like Core Desktop coming. I mean, like there's already testable images out there and stuff. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know much about Apple our processor. Not really been following much what's happening there for Ubuntu, but in terms of ARMs like ARM 64, let's say, so raspberries and stuff. We deliver images and everything working. As said before, we pay lots of attention in having everything in having all the main architectures to be working in Ubuntu. Basically, no package can pass. Very few can be accepted in the main repository without being compiled on all the main architectures, which right now are AMD 64, RISC S390, X ARM, both 32 and 64 bits, and PowerPC 64, I think, and
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, everything has to build in all the platforms. Plus, in the case of the ARM, of course, there's also manual testing and stuff because Raspberry, especially, is a platform we target a lot.
Yeah. So I think not necessarily for Mac, but for ARM stuff in general, we're doing good. This is an interesting question, Marco, and I think if I had this question, I would ask you: did the Ubuntu desktop team consider using Gnome 40 unmodified?
Yeah, we did. I mean, it was easier. Would have been easier and less efforts. And from my point of view, could have been spending time on other stuff at the same time. It's something that so far our user base requires that we try really to avoid to add many custom features at this point, because Gnome 40 is an example of how this modify things might put us in a position that it's hard to keep up. So what we would love to is trying to define more concepts, for example, are accepted by upstream. For example, the app indicator is something many people want, but we have been there. Like, I've been defined probably as a okay solution from UI point of view, not really from the API point of view from my perspective, but they're there for some time now, and so far nobody really came out with better solutions from a design point of view. And I think really a new API and keep it the same concept doesn't make sense. So for example, it's an aspect where I would love to have some new design ideas in order to provide not the similar things, but a similar facility in a different way, if any, let's say, if any. So, and the dock as well, for example, which has been the main blocker, is something, for example, people, basically it's based on what users want. So ideally, at least from what the feedback we get. So ideally, going unmodified is easier, but it would break a bit the expectations. So it's another decision to take, which basically will depend on what we get from our users.
That makes sense. I mean, we carry minimal patches to meet our requirements, right? So there's a follow-up question in there. Have you considered getting the extensions Ubuntu ships integrated into Gnome Shell itself?
So yeah, for the dock, I would love to talk in a way we could, but it's also it's a lot. We had we talk a bit on with design, but it's a long process, I think. So I mean, we have to try. But in terms of indicators, as I said, design-wise wasn't liked when presented, and isn't really something that is appreciated right now. So we definitely need to find something else which the community of grants basically like better than that. I also like something different. I'm not saying that the solution we provide is perfect right now. It's just the closest to what people, especially coming from other systems, expect.
Yeah, okay. Let's see, let's continue on with these questions. There's one I'm not quite sure. It says, I really like Ubuntu due to usability reasons. Will you ever do will you ever do special accessibility add-ons, such as high quality speech synthesis and so on?
I have to say that in the past we had some people working on that. Right now, we have only to thank the Gnome community for that, because so what's an accessibility side? It's all vanilla basically, and
I mean, there's Orca, like the screen reader that you can do like an install and stuff, but there is a lot we could do if
yeah. I mean, that's already provided by we provide it, but improving that requires lots of engineering work, which currently we can't provide.
Right. How has the response been since switching to Wayland?
Well, I have to say that basically, thank God, has been no response. No, in the sense that, of course, people appreciating the improvements, but no complaints, which is, it's normally what you heard from the reviews, because people is always, good at complaining, while it's hardly giving positive feedbacks. So yeah, I mean, we got positive feedbacks right now. We didn't get particular. So it was a really good switch. We waited a lot. Actually, I didn't write on the presentation, but yeah, it's something that I think waiting has been a good thing, also because when we switched, upstream was already at a level of quality in the Wayland backend, which is very high. So we reached where basically there were no main bugs. Of course, there are things to improve, but I think that the parity is there now. Also, for people using NVIDIA drivers is coming. So also there are many more features than X11. It's better than X11 for many aspects, but as said.
Yeah, there's largely there hasn't been like an outcry, so.
Yeah, exactly. So the feedback has been more than positive.
Right. Yeah. Okay. How's the Ubuntu interacting with OEMs to get hardware that Ubuntu comes pre-installed with? And is there any new OEMs you're working with? Well, I mean, I think sometimes we get hardware sent, right? Like you have some hardware, I think, to.
Yeah. I mean, we have an OEM team which is mostly based in Taipei. Some of them are also Gnomers, probably watching us, not now, but. And so that team is basically in charge of making deals with OEMs, and for example the same page for the Fedora pre-installed ThinkPads is available for Ubuntu too. Probably not very much advertised, but it's basically the same thing. So we have deals with OEMs, so we work with them. For example, all the work I was mentioning with the leaders, for example, was was driven by OEMs, and another one is for the screen shield support. So we work with them. Basically they ask us to support GNOME the most we can.
How do we make the GNOME panel go away on the side and stay there? Is that based on something like dash to dock?
See, dash to dock. You mean like the top panel on the top, which is now in the top? Not sure what's this.
Maybe they meant like the dock, like the auto hide.
You know, I mean, it says based on something like dash to dock. So, this is the. Okay. I don't know if the question is related to the actual dock. The dock is dash to dock is
the sidebar. Okay, yeah. So like the dock.
So yeah, it's the same, and in the case is like the preference in the GNOME Control Center, you can move the dock left, right, bottom, if that's the question. I'm not sure.
And there's like an auto hide, I think, box or something. You can check, or maybe that's in tweaks.
I think if it means the on the sides of the sidebar, I mean, it's the dock. So yeah, you just go in Control Center, and in the appearance, there's an option to show the dock on left or bottom or right.
Is there planned work on moving OS tree packages to main and thus allow Flatpak to be installed?
There is work, but I'm not sure if it's moving, and it's mostly security team duty though, so I'm not really sure what's on them. So I think they're using ongoing, but not really like something which can be acted in a day, so for months. I think it's there for too much time probably, but
yeah. Do you know what the state of Ubuntu is when it comes to RISC-V architecture? Oh, did Marco leave? There is some work going on, I can say, but I don't know the details there. Any features to help people with autism and other similar disabilities that make using a computer easier for them? This is a great question. Again, it kind of falls into the accessibility, and just as Marco had mentioned, we would like to do more accessibility stuff, but it's a bit of a tight resource thing. So I think we all kind of do a little bit here and there when things crop up, but there's not any dedicated effort as much as we would like to. Maybe one day we can do that. Marco, are you back?
Yeah, I think so. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it was like, no, I moved to Ethernet connection. That's better.
So do you know the state of Ubuntu when it comes to RISC-V?
I think we compile everything there, so we try to everything which can be compiled is there. So I'm not sure whether the state of GNOME itself, but I can check a second. Yeah. So yeah, we have like even GNOME shell compiled in RISC v5 or whatever it is, 64. So
yeah, and Rickard is right. Like we would like to do more, but yeah, there's like a funding thing there. And it's a good question. I think it's not just for Canonical. It's, I think, a larger community problem, right? That, accessibility stuff is always kind of put on the back burner, and translations to some extent as well. And we should always put that at the forefront.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
Same with the documentation. It's not the glamorous stuff.
Yeah, I think there was a talk last year about that from Manuel, pointing out those. Accessibility is always something we tend to forget, while also for us, the older we get, the more important it is. No, so
until a question comes in on like IRC, and it's like, how do we do this? Like, I don't know. Let's go learn about this accessibility feature. Right. Well, let's see. I think that's it. We answered all the questions. Yeah. Do you all have more questions? Do you, yeah, because I can try and watch both. Well, I'm really excited for Gnome 40, and I'm not a big fan of the horizontal workspaces. I know that's like a controversial statement, but I'll get used to it. Is Canonical a registered UK company? Well, Canonical has there's a US-based company, there's a UK-based company, but most of the people at Canonical are remote. I think it's like 70%, somewhere around there. So, and we have people in every time zone, so it doesn't really matter where the company is based.
Yeah, like the UK one is like at the branch, the UK branch, just for people working.
Yeah.
In UK.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right, Luna, right. It's hard to get those EU funds and stuff. Right. Marco, when did you first start using Ubuntu?
I don't know. I don't remember. It was like Ubuntu was like Ubuntu Breezy, which I don't remember the name. The number was 510, I think so. I hold the CDs, yeah, but I think it's 510. Ubuntu Breezy, yeah.
Yeah.
510. So it's 25 October, earlier than October. Actually, I started with KDE, which is something I shouldn't say here, but I do. Yeah, but I didn't really like the initial coloring of Ubuntu.
The brown.
Yeah. And yeah, before I learned Taming, the first time you try. But yeah, then I got into Gnome earlier.
Yeah, I was thankful when they changed to the aubergine, because purple is my favorite color and brown is probably my least favorite color, so it's great.
Yeah, so Georgius, thank you for the point. I also would love to have the time to do that. I would have also have the time to work more on Gnome 40 on the shell itself, but it was quite complicated, to address all the items too. So for the limited team we have, apart from we are just not us, but also Ian, which is not around here, and other and Daniel, which is not available for time zones reasons, but so. So then George is saying that he wants to, cooperate. of cooperation. Of course, everybody is here is for cooperating, because otherwise everybody will have his own, thing completely, and without trying to work together in common solutions. So no, just saying I apologize, because I would love really to cooperate, in order to make things done for Gnome 40 and 41 and 42 in the shell itself. And I'm happy to try to get involved more personally, trying to adapt the time to get there. So indeed, I mean, I hope that we can give more help to get Gnome better, and Gnome shell particularly. So totally open to that.
Yeah, and one thing that Canonical is doing is trying to really revamp like the Ubuntu community outreach effort, and just really fluff up the community in general, the support resources and stuff. And so hopefully that can like maybe generate some new Gnome contributors as well. That'd be cool. Maybe not at that level, Georges, that you're asking for, but I think we all genuinely love Ubuntu and we love Gnome, and we want to see as much like collaboration and cooperation as possible, because we all care about the same things, no matter who pays us. What is the next big thing that we both look forward to working on? Marco, what's your big?
So it's not really exciting so far, because but it's big. So like going through, and I'm already starting these days, and thanks to Jonas, which has been already approved. Something's got through lots of backlog and proposals for Matter and Shell, which have ready or to rebase, to adapt, to fix, because was been left there for some months. So I have to take all that work back in order to try to get merged again, and that implies work, for example, for supporting the screen shields on laptops. Some new laptops have basically an hardware feature to make harder to watch what you're doing on the screen if you're not looking straight on the screen. And there's support for that on the kernel, which has been ready for some time. Also, we did the Matter and Gnome shell work, but we need to readapt that a bit. So I have to propose that in the coming weeks, hopefully together in 41. And then also to finish the smart card and fingerprint work, it's more stuff, ongoing works I have there, and I hope to continue working on. I have also some stuff which might be nice for GJS, but I won't reveal it because I'm not sure I'm doing it. So.
That's fair. It's always better to be safe. I'm excited about some Snap work. So I've been working on this LibreOffice. There's a new LibreOffice 7.2 release instead of 7.1, and there's a bunch of changes that I've put in the Snap, and so I'm still kind of debugging a little bit, but it's like the final steps. Like any time I build now, it's going to pass. And then there's an effort to kind of put all of the Snap stuff that we care about, I say that we care about. That's not really true, because we care about a lot of snaps like on our own personal time too. But I mean, snaps that Canonical cares about, we're kind of putting in GitHub under the Ubuntu project namespace. So we're trying to kind of, a lot of contributors, a lot of new people that want to contribute are on GitHub, not necessarily Launchpad. So we're trying to kind of put stuff on GitHub, and I'm helping out a lot with that effort. So there's a lot of tweaking, and I don't know. I'm excited to engage with community more. Maybe part of that is because there's a pandemic and I am under practiced socially now, but like I'm excited to like see the new community efforts that Monica and Reese are putting together. And I hope you all come to the tea party that Monica's hosting this afternoon. Well, I say this afternoon, but later today, my afternoon. Yeah, I'm excited to do Snap stuff and community stuff. That's not one big thing, but can we see any risks coming down the track, like becoming less customizable around themes, or any risks in general? What do you think, Marco?
So yeah, it's not really a problem. I mean, we don't really want to, make a completely different appeal right now. It's already, I mean, Yaru has some custom, looking colors at the end, some different things. But for example, now we switched to one thing that Yaru had, which might break applications, was the fact we had a mixed theme. So, for example, header bars were dark while the rest wasn't, which I personally liked, but it's hard to maintain in the sense that application developers can't imagine that this happens. They might have, the classic data concept where the colors are matching with the application. So it might not work well in all the situations. So they switch to use basically just sort of purely dark or purely light theme, which is already a step to go through GK4 and basically using at the end just flavor colors, which is probably what we be doing at the end. So I think the final point will be that Gnome will have an ability for being customized by using particular colors or something which is adapted to this operating systems running on, but not changing the whole appearance, which is fine. I mean, it's not really a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know what the state of Unity is in the community? Is that like?
So yeah, I've been the community there's a community which is basically maintaining it. Thank God we did so good that basically it's living alone for in the last 10 years. No, it's not 10 years, but all that is. But yeah, the repository probably it is, but it's not being maintained for 4 years, I think now. And then so far it's still running well. If you install in Ubuntu, you can install a Ubuntu Unity desktop and you get basically everything running.
Mm-hmm.
I had the pleasure for myself to hack on it on the few weeks ago because I had to fix few things because we were using some deprecated Gnome API, DBus APIs. So I did few hacking on that in the past weeks, and I found it working properly still. So of course it's now using, let's say, a legacy technology because of course there's no WLAN, so based on compits, which also is not really maintained. But I mean, in terms of performances and working works well. The community is not really that active in terms of real development. I saw something happening on the Ubuntu discourse about, but there's not really, so far big involvement. While there's lots of involvement in the UbuPorts community, so in the community which does work on basically on Unity 8 for the phones, also laptops, maintained by, that's completely under the community umbrella now of the UbuPorts, which is pretty active and still they are shipping some phones as well. So that side is more vital. Vivid.
Mm-hmm. That's exciting. Yeah, like when a project is good enough for the community to take it over and just go into maintenance mode for 4 years and it still works, that's pretty cool. So yeah, those Unity lovers can still have access to it, thankfully. Great question. How do you get started volunteering and contributing to the Ubuntu project? Well, there is an effort. We're kind of putting together a new contributors guide that will be hosted at community.ubuntu. We're like in the process of writing that content, but we're not rewriting the Ubuntu wiki. We're trying to leverage that content and just kind of, be able to find the usable content in the wiki a little bit easier. But if you wanted to just do something and you didn't know what, I would encourage you to join our IRC channel and just say, hey, or come to the community office hours. So every week, not this week, but every week, the community team, so Monica and Reese host an Ubuntu on air live stream. It live streams to YouTube and Twitch, where they do community, they're there and you can talk to them and you can ask questions, and they have, guests and stuff. And so that's cool. And then we do an Indaba, the desktop team does an Indaba once a month. It's the last Friday of every month. So the next one will be next Friday, and it'll be live streamed to YouTube and Twitch as well. And we'll talk about new cups stuff and snaps and other cool things that are coming. So, how do people get connected to right now? It's kind of just come to what we have, the IRC, the Ubuntu on air, and talk to us. But in the hopefully by the end of the year, we have something a little bit more robust to, that's revamped for new contributors. Because I remember being a new contributor and finding it hard to get my foot in the door, find the right resources and stuff. So we're definitely working on improving that.
Yeah, so also the Indaba, before you can send the link on the chat on Ubuntu on air.
Yeah.
I want to also to mention, I linked on the notes the wiki link for the Ubuntu Desktop Team, which is basically the entry point in order to get part of the Ubuntu Desktop Team, which is not the Canonical team. It's a community team which anybody can be part of. It's mostly the team for doing the downstream work, so packaging from us. But I mean, joining implies helping everything that Ubuntu Desktop does. So.
Yeah, I put the link to the YouTube channel, Ubuntu on air, in there. Why do the Ubuntu community only listen to one side of a coin when there is a conflict? Well, that's just a loaded question, and that's not. I think that people have their biases and they like certain things, but I think we try to be inclusive of all opinions and look for a good solution forward. Does Ubuntu have any events coming up soon? Well, no, because travel is still pretty much shut down, but we're hoping to start doing UDSs at some point in the future. So yeah, there's UbuCon Asia that's coming up, but yeah, a lot of things are kind of still put on the back burner for now. What is the new version of Comets and what happened to it? Marco?
New version of Comets? I don't think so. I don't know if it's something has been done by the community, honestly, and I don't know. But where I was at, it was basically maintainment releases. For example, also from the Mate guys are using it, or were using it. I'm not sure about the current state, but they were using it. So there were lots of work, for example, to get the improvements to the decorations to use GTK 3, because it was also GTK 2 some parts yet. So there was work on that side of things, but I don't know if there are other changes happening right now.
Okay. Where did the Ubuntu Ship It service go that used to mail disks? From 2010. Come on, people, it's 2021.
Yeah, I know it was nice. I'm not home, so I can show you the stack of CDs I have for, mostly for as a museum. But apart from that, really, I don't think it's needed right now.
I don't even have a CD drive in any of my computers. There was a question about a transactional-based desktop, and I put a link to like the core desktop in there. But basically, it is Ubuntu Core, which is kind of Ubuntu server slimmed down, everything's Snap, and then we put a desktop on top of it. So we snapped. I don't know the details of like the troubles there, but I've used it on my Raspberry Pi, and it looks great. And I'm excited. I've actually had to build things there. It's kind of nice. So let's see. We have about 5 minutes left. Oh, there's a long question. Can we have some features where people can focus on tasks, maybe highlighting key components like circling and making today's date yellow? Oh, I think this is like in relation to accessibility. Yeah. Disabled can understand so they can figure. Again, it would be great to have these kinds of features, and I think that it should be a priority personally. But I think, we don't have the resources. Canonical doesn't have resources right now to just like kind of throw to adding all of these new accessibility features that are a great idea. I'd say the best thing to do is to kind of open up issues and start categorizing these desires and soliciting community for help in providing them.
Yeah, I guess for that, for example, I think you can also talk with the design team at Gnome, and I'm sure they're happy to help in improving the accessibility teams, the Gnome ships, in order to address these kind of issues.
Right. Okay. Any final questions, comments, concerns, complaints? Well, thank you very much, Marco, for joining me here today, this QA, and answering all the hard questions, basically.
Lenny, please do.
Yeah, thanks, Lainey. So yeah, I'm just going to go back to this slide one more time. If you folks are interested in coming to join a fun, workforce at Canonical, then please go take a look at those job openings and sift through them. Maybe you find something that you like, and if not, I'm so glad that you all came, and thanks for being here with us for this hour. And have a great rest of the GUADEC and weekend.
Yeah. Thank you for the questions. It's been nice.
Yeah, and you guys can always reach out to us if you have any additional questions too. Okay, bye.
Guess we're starting in a minute. All right. Actually, it's about time. So welcome everyone to another internal lightning talk session. This is a tradition we have in GUADEC, and it's a moment where we have our interns presenting the work that they are doing during Google Summer of Code and Outreach. These are the internship programs that our community heavily benefits from. And each one of the interns is going to have 3 minutes to quickly present about their work, and you folks are going to have the opportunity to follow up later into the chats, read the blog posts. So this is just really about introducing the work that is being done by our interns. So this is the projects we got selected for 2021 in Google Summer of Code. We have, I believe, 12 projects selected this year, very high quality projects. And you're going to see them present today. Other than Google Summer of Code, which happens yearly, the Gnome Foundation also sponsors Outreach interns. Outreach is a program that it promotes internships just like Google Summer of Code for minorities. And it's differently than Google Summer of Code, which is funded by Google. Outreach is actually funded by sponsors, and the Gnome Foundation has funded internships for Outreach. So I'm glad that the donations that people have made to the Gnome Foundation also help us promote diversity and inclusion in our community and opportunities for people to start their careers in open source. Before we get to the presentations, I'd like to thank the mentors. I think folks really underappreciate the fact that it takes a lot of energy to mentor somebody, and that this is really critical for building the next generation of GNOME developers. As I always say, you can see from the names of our mentors that a lot of them have been former interns that now are mentors themselves. And people like myself, like Carlos Soriano, like Georges Stavrakis that won the PENS Awards yesterday, they have been Google Summer of Code interns and are now long-term members of our community. So thanks a lot to all the mentors for your heroic work, and our community wouldn't be as successful without you. So thanks a lot. So before we get to that, I also want to...
All right, and I know I've reached end of time. I'm happy to stay on during the break here.
Oh, I guess there's some other microphone on. Or just Stavrakis. Okay, so I would like to advertise that our interns are having blogs on Planet Gnome. So if you go to planetgnome.org, you're going to see their blog posts where they are reporting their weekly progress. There's this Google Summer of Code logo and Outreach logo next to their faces, so you can easily find out who is an intern. And you can also join us on Discourse. We have the Outreach topic over there where announcements and discussions about our internships happen. We also have the SOC channel in both Matrix and IRC where there's conversations with the interns. So if you are looking for some intern and interested on meeting them up, that's a good place. If you have any doubt about how GNOME mentors organizations, how our internship management is, you can also email socadmins@gnome.org. That this is an email that goes to our Google Summer of Code organization admins, the people who manage GSOC and Outreach in GNOME. So the format that these lightning talks are going to go is that we're going to be having 3 minutes for each intern to present. The slides have been all merged together. So we are not going to have to go through the process of uploading new slides. So every intern is going to present after the other. And the order of those are in the share notes. So I ask, please, the interns to go to the share notes and see that there's their names in a certain order. So Alejandro Dominguez is going to be the first one, Maximiliano Sandoval the second, Manuel Genovese the third, and so on. So please be ready, and I'll be making you a presenter. And at the moment of your presentation, you're going to have the rights to turn your camera, microphone on, and also to switch slides. There are also some interns that are going to do screen sharing at the very end. And one intern that unfortunately couldn't make today, but send us a video. So we're also going to see at the very end. So yeah, let's get to it. So first, starting with Alexandre Dominguez, I'm going to find you here on the list and make you presenter. And now you should be able to see the controllers of the slides at the bottom of the slides. And please turn your camera and microphone on to start your presentation. During the presentation, I'm going to notify that there's 1 minute left. Oops, I have a paper here. And when you are out of time, so you have an idea of how we are progressing. We had a rehearsal session recently, and all the interns were very good on the timing, so I think it's going to be great.
Hi all. Thank you for allowing me to be in this place. Well, I'm going to just present what I've been doing in my internship here. I've been working on Fractal Next. Sorry? Yeah. I've been working this time on Fractal Next, which is basically a rework of Fractal. It's in another branch right now. What I'm adding to that branch that I hope makes it for the next release. That's not my task. I'm adding support for having multiple accounts logged in. So I'm going to explain basically more than the current progress, which I'm going to show a screenshot about that, explain a bit. I want to explain a bit what the learning process has been, because I started basically from scratch. So yeah, currently the progress is rough but functional. It's like this. It's not, you see, it's not like quite polished. It's functional, but it does its job. So yeah, the thing is that to get here, you need to know about GUADEC builder, XML syntax, section models, which is an extension to list models, GUADEC expressions, which can be made from GUADEC builder XML files, some CSS, and how they interact with objects. And this has the implication of glib subclassing in Rust. So can I make custom objects that can be used with these tools? The answer is yes. But we need to know basically how the GObject introspection API works here. It's basically a stringly type, quickly type sort of API, which doesn't really follow the data flow is not very explicit. So if you're used to, if you are used to, Haskell stuff and functional style programming, you might feel really lost. I did. So yeah, basically that's it. So what's left to do for an optimal experience? Actually show the display name. If you saw the screenshot, it shows the user ID. The bug is not in the implementation of the account switcher. Add a similar switcher to the login page, because if you go to the login page by mistake, you're stuck and be able to log out. Because if you can't log out, you can't actually remove any account you've logged in. So yeah, that's basically the current state of affairs. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. So now our next presenter is Maximiliano. Let me find you on the list and make you presenter. Right, you should see the controls now.
Hello, is audio okay?
Yes, pretty good.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Maximiliano. I am a PhD student in mathematics. And as part of this Google Summer of Code, I work with Vidal El Moussaoui in porting Gnome design tools to GTK4. So first of all, let me talk about a bit of the improvements made in GTK4 RS. It has been almost a year since the last release. And now we have stuff like complete subclassing support, or almost complete. The syntax has been made a lot more idiomatic. The core libraries are re-exposed from GTK for RS, and the subclassing and installing of the object properties and signals have been made much simpler. And the documentation has gone through substantial improvements thanks to Vidal. So the first app I work on is App Icon Preview, which is an app that lets you design icons. You can design and preview your icons in their natural habitat. You can also export them in their nightly variant. And it also has the ability to refresh and shuffle icons as you work on them. It also allows you to export as a screenshot. The second app I work on is Icon Library, which is an app that helps you finding the right icons for your applications. It has a nice search support, which is also incorporated into the Gnome shell, and it has a quick toggle between Adwaita light and dark variants. It also includes instructions on how to include in your application. So the status of the project is that the merge request for Icon Library was merged like a few weeks ago. And for App Icon Preview, we are still dealing with a few bugs in librsgb, but we are going to get there. So here you can find the links. And well, thank you. You can find me at Matrix.
Thank you. Good job. So now Manuel is next presenter. I will make you presenter. Yes. And you should just go to the next slide.
Hi, good afternoon. Can I? There you go. So yeah, I'm Manuel Genovese. I'm a 566 artist and developer. I'm also the Apostrophes maintainer. You might know me because of that. I've been working this summer with Alexander Mihalenko in Livatwaita's animation API. Why? Because animations is a core thing in the Gnome design language. Tobias Bernard talked about this some years ago. The whole vision is about space, meaning, and animation is a core part of that. And it already is in the shell. The shell has a better space model than macOS and a better animation model than Microsoft Windows. But in the apps side of things, we don't have anything. All toolkits have some kind of animation API. Flutter, Android, iOS, even the web through CSS has some kind of animation API, but we don't have any. So we design an API. There you have some kind of UML diagrams of how it should look. And we started porting because Livatwaita has some code for doing animations, because Livatwaita has animations, but we want to expose it to the app developers. So we have code for animations and for physics-based animations. I was working with Alexander in those, and now we are refactoring all of that into a proper API. So that's what I've been doing. Many thanks to you and many thanks to my mentor, Alexander, for helping me with that.
Thank you. Great talk. All right, so Bizbash, yes, you're there already, so I'll make you presenter. There you go.
My name is Visvesh Subramanian. The project I'm working on is redesigning Health's main view. Health is an application in FlatHub, and my mentor is Rasmus Thompson. I've completed 4 years in IIIT Hyderabad, and this is my first project in Gnome, and also the first open source project for me. A few details about my project. Health is an application that keeps track of various things like weight of the user, step count of the user, and activities. So here we and one of the tasks in this project is to mainly redesign and implement some features. So redesigning consisted of creating a home page and then creating widgets, as we can see on the top. And then the features here are to notify the users for as a reminder to complete their step goal of the day. And another feature I implemented was to let the user control the duration of history of activities. This is the project mostly. And then the future work. So just like how we can view the activities and the step count, we can also view calories burnt by the user. So that is something that will be coming next. Another reminder, another notification reminder could be to remind the user to drink water, or keep track of water intake. And so below are the repositories, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you. I see that Kai is having the microphone test. Oh, there we go. So you probably should be presenter now if you're there, Kai.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, I had problems with my microphone. So, okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my talk about Fractal Next. My name is Kai Hiller. I'm a computer science student from Germany, and I'm participating this year's Summer of Code at the Gnome Foundation. My mentor is Julian Sparber, and I'm working at Fractal. And for those who don't know, Fractal is the instant messaging client for Gnome. It's based on the Matrix protocol and is especially mobile friendly. There's an initiative called Fractal Next, and the idea is a total rewrite from Fractal to build it on new technology like the GNOME Toolkit 4, the Matrix Rust SDK, and generally make it a cleaner code base. And this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to get it to feature completion. So my work until now was concerned mainly with the room settings, to view and edit all the details you have in the room, like the name, the topic, and the avatar, to edit your room notifications, to view the media that was posted in the room, do settings about visibility and the previous history in the room, and very importantly, members, like giving them power levels and inviting or kicking them. For the future, for the next part of my Summer of Code, for feature parity, there are some parts where the community is working on, and I might do it, like the account management, supported message types in the overview over the messages, implementing shortcuts for the keyboard and for mobile, and searching your room has history and maybe reactions. So this was my talk. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you. So now, Nishal, you should be presenter now.
Yeah, 1 second. Am I audible? Yeah, cool. So hi, I'm Nishal. I'm a computer science undergraduate from India, and I'm currently working on implementing active resource management as a part of Google Summer of Code. And my mentors for this project are Benjamin Berg and Florian Mühlner. So what do I mean by implementing active resource management? There's this kernel feature called C groups or control groups. And what that is it allows us to allocate resources for a user-defined group of processes. And then currently in Gnome, every application runs in its own C group. And using system D, then we can dynamically allocate resources. What that means is suppose we have an active application. Suppose a window is focused or an application is playing audio, then we can give it more resources based on that. And that's basically what this project is, tracking various pieces of information and then allocating or making policy decisions accordingly. So as a basic demo, when I was starting off, I made this Genome Extension. What it would do is basically look for a notification when the active window is changed, the focus window changes. And then it would set an extended attribute on that specific C group directory. And after that, uResourceD basically looks for these changes and gives the active window more CPU weight. So as you can look in the before, each application, when none of them are focused, the terminal window, it gives them 50%. But when we click on one of those windows, the focused window gets 90%, while the other is just at 10%. So one thing you might think of is what uses this off. So in web browsers, for example, it will allow you to have a more smoother experience when your system is resource constrained. So what's more, right? So currently we are working on, I'm mostly finished with PyFire integration, which was, as I mentioned, about active, an application actively playing audio, or if it's giving it more CPU resources. And then we are currently collecting feedback for having an XTG portal on C groups, providing C group management features for sandboxed applications. And in the near future, we plan on working on using hints from desktop apps, and then have for a game mode, or detecting battery draining background applications using the CPU pressure and stuff. And obviously we are open to more suggestions. There's a lot of stuff this can be useful for, and yeah, that's basically what we have been working on. So you can see I've given my contact information, and there's also I've given a few links for the stuff I've been working on. And yeah, this week I'll be working on merging most of this stuff upstream. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Thank you.
Thank you. So now, Danuka, let me see your, yeah. So you should be presented.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, pretty good.
Yeah. Hello all, my name is Danuka. This is the libsecret project update. So if you don't know, libsecret is a tool that provides access to secrets, so secret related services. libsecret has a new feature that allows a user to store secret in a file or a file database. This is the current design of this file database. As you can see, the items are inside the file database are encrypted using two ways. The first way involves using an environmental variable. It is used for mostly test cases. The second one involves retrieving user's login password. So as you can see, this design has a single point of failure. If an attacker has access to the user's login password, this entire design of this security fails. So that is why we have introduced a physical hardware security module to store secrets. So a TPM is a physical hardware security platform module. So it is responsible for everyday cryptographic scenarios. That means encrypting, decrypting, generating passwords and other things. So our project, we are using the ESAP API or Enhanced System API. For the regular usages, you can use TPM tools, which are a set of command line tools. This is the proposed backend design. If a user has access to a physical TPM device in their machine, this third option will be executed. So the TPM is responsible for generating the password, encrypting it, and decrypting it. So there's no need for involved with user's login password. So if someone need to access your secret, they have to physically get access to your computer system and then the TPM. So this has pretty good system security design compared to the first one. This is the current API. This is not final. We'll let things as we move forward. I just want to thank my mentors, Daiki and Anderson, and also the upstream TSS developers. Thank you all.
Thank you. So another, I see you are immobile, so I hope the presenter rights works. Otherwise, you just tell me to change the slides, and I can do it.
Okay. So, can you hear me?
Yes, pretty good.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nasa. Please, next slide. Okay, my name is Nasa Kuma, and throughout my outreach internship, I worked on improving the user experience of Genome JavaScript's debugger, and I was mentored by Philip Shimento. So for those who are not familiar, GJS is Genome's own JavaScript interpreter based on SpiderMonkey, the JavaScript engine for Mozilla. So throughout this internship, I achieved the following. First of all, using the debugger, when you encounter maybe an error on your code, okay. Generally, to use a debugger, someone might want to use the debugger in case the person writes a program that works well but fails from time to time, or the program works and doesn't give the required output sometimes. So the backtrace command helps you to be able to get information about why maybe your program crashed. So I added the full option to this command, which helps you to be able to see the local variables in the stack frame and as well as their values. So the next thing I did was to display the current line of source of your source code. So at first, when you print if the number of the frame number, you actually see the number of the frame, the function name, arguments if any, and the name of the file that you're debugging, and also the current line. But I added an enhancement that helps you actually see the line of the source code and prevents you from going back to your editor to maybe check this line in case you have some issues that you might want to fix on it. The next thing I did was to add the list command. So the list command helps you to list lines of your code. And also I implemented the set color option, which helps you to choose if you want to debug with a color with colors or not. So I had a wonderful experience doing this internship, and if you have any contributions or questions to ask about the work that I did, you can contact me on Metrics and also on Twitter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Arijit, you're gonna be my presenter.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, again.
Hello everyone, I'm Arijit. I'm currently an undergraduate pursuing my bachelor's in information and technology based in New Delhi, India. I'm passionate about front-end development and creating web applications. I'm working as the Google Summer of Code student, mentored by Claudio Wunder and Caroline on the Face of Gnome project. Face of Gnome is an initiative started by the engagement team back in 2020 to celebrate all kinds of contributions related to Gnome, with a motive of creating a much stronger community driven by passion. Gnome loves diversity and have all kinds of people. The community is not limited to the developers delivering pieces of code, but also includes people helping with designs, translations, documentations, management, moderator, mentors who help manage and supervise student programs like Google Summer of Code, Google Season of Docs, and Outreachy, and also the staff who all the speakers, important event. Last but not the least, the outreach interns, which includes GSOC and Outreachy students. Genome is built by people, and we value your each and every contribution to help create such a. The ultimate goal of the phase is to develop a modern and Java show all. This will involve creating pages for different kinds of people. It has the intention to let community members create, maintain profile pages with easy to add custom information like name, current role in Gnome, pronouns, as well as different links to social handles. We will be providing contributors unique member IDs and badges based on the different roles in Gnome, which would help us differentiate the different kinds of people. It is aimed to serve as a personal space, allowing contributors to even host and create Markdown supported blogs, blog posts with search functionalities, sorting by blogs, and much more, as shown in the following images. I invite you all to be a part of this initiative by creating profile using the short URL link on the screen and following some easy steps mentioned in the README file. I hope you all have a good time attending the rest of GUADEC events. Thank you.
Thank you. So Nishi Patel, I'll see you on the list. Hello.
I'm audible?
Yes, you are. Now you're made presenter.
Okay, cool. So hello everyone. My name is Nishit Patel. I'm from India. I'm currently in my third year of computer engineering. And this summer I'm working on Tracker Minus for adding support of file creation time. I'm being mentored by Carlos Garneco and Sam Thursville. Okay, so these are my proposed project goals. Before going forward, let me give you a brief overview about the structure of Tracker project. So Tracker project is basically divided into part. The Tracker, which is a SPARQL database, and the Tracker Minus, which is used as an indexer for extracting metadata from different file systems. It extracts metadata like file name and file size and so on. So up till now, Tracker used to store two types of timestamps. File last modified and file last accessed. And my task during this summer was to add one more timestamp, that is file creation time, into it. This goal is already achieved, and the merge requests are merged for it. And as you all might also know that Tracker is an intermediate library, and many applications in the GNOME ecosystem uses Tracker as a database or as a search engine. And one such application is obviously Nautilus, aka Gnome Files, which uses Tracker as one of its search engine. So my second task is to add a feature of search by creation time in Nautilus, and it comes handy when when you roughly remember the file when you create it, and you want to search it using the, or you can, if you want to filter out the time using creation time, so it comes handy there. So this is how the search popover looks like as of now in the Nautilus. It allows us to filter out using two timestamp, last modified and last used, and my task is to add one more timestamp, that is last created. It is a draft design, it is not yet finalized. That's all about my project, and if you want to ask me any question or if you have any suggestion, you can ping me on Tracker IRC. Myself and both my mentors are pretty active over there, and if you want to know about my project in more detail, you can check out my blog as well. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you. So now, Veena, you should be presenting now.
Oh yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So, hello everyone, I'm Veena and computer science graduate from India. Today I'll be presenting my project which is to make Gnome asynchronous. I've been doing this project under the mentorship of Philip Gimento. Coming to my project, here the idea of asynchronous operation is to execute a task in the background without the user having to wait for the task to finish. As we already know, Gnome's programming platform is based on C libraries. And in C, we can only use callbacks to implement asynchronous operations. So my goal of the internship is to allow C to use async await style programming with Gnome asynchronous operation. To do this, G-object introspection plays the important role. It helps Gnome to provide a bridge from the platform libraries written in C to all the other programming languages like Java, Python, and Voila. In my internship period, the first issue I started with was exception handling in Promisify function, where a promise in an object that represents an intermediate state of an operation where we can execute the function simply by using async await keyword. That is, without actually making it an async await style function. This issue actually helped me to understand how asynchronous programming actually works in JavaScript and how to transform callback style into async await style. These are basic examples of both the style functions. After completing this task successfully, I started with the main issue of the internship, in which the main task was to enable async await style in all the programming languages, for which G-object introspection has to know how to pair load content finish with load content async. Because as seen in the after picture here, which is an async await style example, the user does not explicitly call load content finish anymore. So to make it possible, that is to pair load content finish and load content async, I am currently working on adding an annotation to G-object introspection that provides this information. And the stretch goal of the internship is to add the code to GJS that uses this annotation, which will, as a result, enable the async await style in all the programming languages, including C, and that will allow C to use async await style programming with Gnome asynchronous operation. So yeah, that was my project. I've been working on it. And at the end, I want to thank my mentor, Philip Gimento, and I'm really looking forward to learn more from him. If you are really interested in reading more about my project, then kindly go to my blog post at plant.org, where I explained what my project is all about in detail. Thank you.
Thank you. So now Madeleine, yeah, there we are. You should see the presenter controllers now. Hello.
Yes, I do see it. Hello, my name is Mads, or Madeline Holland. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a recent film and media studies graduate from the landlocked center of the US, and I'm part of this year's Outreachy summer cohort, working under Federico on librsvg. So for those of you who don't know, librsvg is an SVG rendering library written in Rust, which used to be written in C until a few years ago. It's used by many parts of the Gnome ecosystem, like Gnome, the image viewer, and many places outside of it, like Emacs, ImageMagick, and even Wikipedia, which is what this image comes from. I chose to work on librsvg because Rust is a language I find interesting, and since I didn't study programming in school, I wanted to improve my programming skills by helping out with something that has a visual component, which helps me to understand what's going on in the code better. Plus, next year I will have been a user of the Gnome desktop for 10 years, so I want to give back and help this community whose software has seen me all the way through high school and university. So what am I doing? I'm helping to add new SVG features from version 2 of the SVG specification to the library in order to bring it closer to how the W3C defines it. A lot of my job so far has been learning how to interact with the code, get the general flow of how a file is parsed and then turned into a Cairo draw context, and learning a lot about programming with Rust. There's also learning how to read the SVG spec, which can be confusing and contradictory at times. One of the recent features I worked on was text paint order, which allows an artist or a program like Inkscape to specify the order in which a line of text, stroke or outline, and fill are rendered. So it can be rendered with the stroke behind the fill, seen here on the bottom right, a huge improvement over what was previously possible at the top. With these and other features and bug fixes, I'm helping to make librsvg even more feature-rich and up-to-date. So thank you so much for listening. You can find me at these socials or on my blog and portfolio site. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Piotr is a presenter from PTV, and the PTV is a project that used to have internships under the Gnome umbrella, and now it grew to a certain level where it can have its own organization in Google Summer of Code. In the past, they already had independently, and it makes a lot of sense for us to have PTV folks here because PTV is Gnome, and this is our wider community. So you should be made presenter now.
All right, yes, it works. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so hi, my name is Piotrek, and I'm a computer science student at Warsaw University of Technology. And this summer I'm working with PTV on a project called Focus on the Music. My mentor is Matthew, who's also been a PTV intern in the past, and to this day works on a GStreamer, which is well used by many GNOME-related projects, and also as a backend for PTV. My project aims to create an easy way to edit your videos in sync with the music. For example, if you wanted to pick a couple clips from your last weekend trip and sync them to a catchy song of your choice, then it should be made easy by this project. And our solution to this is to automatically detect beats in audio tracks, overlay them on the waveform, and make it possible to snap other elements, such as videos or pictures, to those detected beats. And how are we implementing this? Well, as I said before, PTV uses GStreamer as its backend, so we had to add a couple of things there. Namely, I had to add the ability to snap to clip markers, because so far it was only possible to snap to clip edges. And also, serialization support was needed for the marker data on clips, because they just weren't saved anywhere. And on the front-end side of things, we're using Librosa, which is a Python library, to detect beats in music. I had to extend markers functionality to display and manage them on video and audio clips, because right now they're only supported on the timeline itself. And of course, I have to add some UI elements to make this whole thing configurable. And here's how it looks right now. So after the initial beat recognition, you can see the beats are clearly displayed. You can easily see where they are. You can move them around. You can delete them if you don't need some of them. This will be made in a more automatic way in the future. And well, when you get to editing, you just need to throw in a couple clips. And when you move them or resize them, it's very easy to just snap them perfectly to where those beats are. So that makes the transitions perfectly in sync with the music. So that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to approach me on Matrix. And if you want to learn more about this project, just check out my blog, which is also on Planet Gnome. Thank you.
Thank you. So now, Amanda, yes, you should have presented right now.
All right, great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda Shafak, and I'll be presenting on my outreach project, which I did in December and ended in March 2021. So during my outreach internship, I worked on the Gnome translation editor, and I was mentored by Daniel Garcia, who is the maintainer of this project. All right. My first exposure to open source was through some tech communities, Women Tech Makers, Boya, and Google Developers Group, Boya. this was where I first heard about open source and learned about the Gnome desktop environment. And there were these yearly events called Install First and a couple of others where people were encouraged to install Linux operating systems, and where you had people who were contributing to open source present their projects. And I was inspired, and this was what really made me to really take a deeper look on what like open source was about and what like it had to offer. So back to my project. So I worked on the Genome translation editor. It was formerly called GTranslator. It's an enhanced get text PO file editor for the Genome desktop environment. So in simple terms, like I often say, it just helps people translate apps on the Genome desktop environment. So my project was linked to Damlice, so I'll just talk about it briefly. So Damlice is a web application used to manage localization of the Gnome project. So it allows you to browse live statistics. It also manages the translation workflow of different apps on the Gnome desktop. So currently, it's possible to reserve, download, and upload translation modules on the Damlice web application. So the goal of my project was to integrate the Genome translation editor and Damlice so as to make users reserve and upload translation modules directly from the Genome translation editor. So my workload entailed extending the Damlice API to allow write calls and to consume them on the Genome translation editor side. So here's the work I was able to achieve. On the Damlice side, I was able to achieve this create auth token button. So users are required to authenticate themselves on the Genome translation editor. And then the reserve feature, as you can see, I implemented this reserve checkbox for translators to reserve translation modules. And the upload feature was a button. So when translators are done translating, they can now upload these modules to the Damlice web application. All right, so the work that is left is, so what I actually achieved was I completed the translator workflow, like you can see in the Vertimos workflow diagram to your right. I completed the translation workflow, which is the orange section of the diagram. So what is left is the reviewer workflow and the committer workflow. And currently, I'm working on making the API calls asynchronous, and I hope to also contribute to some UI UX fixes. But my mentor had begun optimizing these UI UX fixes already. So if you would like to contribute to the project, this is the workload that is left. And I'm very grateful to my mentor, Daniel Garcia, for all the help he gave me through this work, and to all these other amazing people who facilitated my work at different levels. Thank you so very much. And if you'd like to read more about my contributions and about my work, you can take a look at my website and the project repository through my contributions, or check out my Twitter. I actually blogged about every single thing I do on a daily basis. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I actually would like to highlight this, that Amanda said that she did this thread on Twitter where she would every day go with update on her daily progress. And this was a great way to follow her progress on GTranslator. So very good idea. So now it's Abano, and they told us that they couldn't come, but they have video presentations. So I hope that's gonna work. I hope hope you folks
Hello
can see the
everybody,
video.
I am Abanoub Ghadban, a computer engineering student from Egypt. I am working on a tracker project to improve its support for custom ontologies. The project is under mentorship of Sam Sarasfield and Carlos Garnicho, who helped me a lot before and after I get accepted in the project, so thanks for both of them. A tracker is used by many Gnome applications as a database to store, index, and fetch different file contents and metadata. It is used by Gnome photos, files, music, and many more apps. My project aims to solve some problems that face developer while building custom tracker ontologies. Ontologies are text files written by developer to describe the database schema needed by application to store its data. Most problems appears in the ontology parser, which in many cases doesn't properly handle errors that may appear in the ontology file. So some parsing errors lead the tracker to crash. Even if the error is handled, it doesn't show a detailed error message about the cause of error. So it doesn't show the file or line number where the error is happened. Sometimes it doesn't stop parsing after facing some errors, which causes a lot of assertion failures. That makes the output full of warning messages that doesn't relate to the statement which caused the error. Finally, when parsing fails, it leaves the database in unusable state. So even if the error is corrected, tracker will crash again as the database is broken. What we have achieved up till now is fixing crashes that may happen while parsing, so tracker will not crash. Instead, it may throw an error or display a descriptive warning message. Also, the parser is made to ignore the parsing of malformed statements to avoid assertion failures. That prevents warning messages that doesn't make sense to developer from being printed. Instead, a descriptive warning message is printed that shows the file, line number, and column number where the error is happened, and a error message that describes that error. The next milestone that we will achieve by the end of the project is at failure, tracker will roll back changes on database and leave it in a consistent state. Also, the ontology parser will support out-of-order definitions in the ontology file, so we can reference a specific object before defining it. As we can see here, we can reference the file class before defining it. Finally, the tracker documentation about building custom ontologies will be updated to be clearer. And that's it. Thanks for listening.
So that worked. So the last two presenters, Ivan and Pratliush, wanted to do screen sharing. I guess you folks are aware of the limitations of PDFs, and sometimes when people are working with animations or other things, it doesn't capture the whole picture. So Ivan is going to...
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I need the right to... Oh yeah, now I can share my screen. Let's see. Okay, can you see it? Now let me enable my cam as well.
Yeah, now I see it.
Okay, it should be good then. Alright, hello everyone. I'm Ivan Molodetskih. I'm a student of the Moscow State University in Russia, and this summer I'm working on the new screenshot UI for Gnome shell. So currently we have two ways of taking screenshots in the shell. So first of all, this is the screenshot app on the left, and then there are a few hotkeys which you can find in the keyboard settings. And there are a few problems with these options. The first one is discoverability. So if you know what you're looking for, if you know what screenshots are, sure, you can find the screenshot app, maybe you can find the hotkeys. But if you don't know, you hit the print screen button and then something happens. A screenshot gets saved to your folder, but you can't really know about those other features like window selection or area selection. The second problem is capturing of transient windows, such as tooltips and right-click menus. Currently, I have to use this delay capture, which captures a screenshot after a few seconds, but it's not really easy to use. And the third problem is the screencast functionality is limited to your whole screen. So the designers have been thinking about the new UI, which will solve all those issues. So the UI will be integrated into the shell. You can see the mockup by Tobias. You can select the a rectangle, you can select a screen, or you can select a window. And as you can see on the bottom left, you can also toggle between capturing a screenshot or recording a screencast. So the whole functionality will be available from one place. And now I will show the parts of it that I have already implemented. So I have a few windows here. I press print screen, and you can see the panel pops up. Hopefully it's visible. I can drag a rectangle. I can reposition it. So this is my selection. I can select what I want to screenshot, capture it, and then it's saved to my clipboard. I can paste it into Obfuscate to show it. Also, I can select the screen. So right now, this is my primary screen. I can also select my second screen, which you can't really see. Also, just click to capture, and there's a full screen screenshot. Finally, there is the window selection. Now, it presents a view kind of like overview, but you can select the window that you want to capture. If I, for example, open a right-click menu and hit print screen, you can see that the right-click menu is there. It has not disappeared. I can just select it just fine and capture it like that. And also, if I'm, for example, watching a video and I want to capture the frame, I just hit print screen. You can see it freezes. So I don't have to hunt for the moment. I can just press print screen and then take my time to select it and capture what I need. And the screencast is, I haven't yet implemented it. This will be the next step. Right now, only the screenshots are working. So yeah, I want to thank you for watching, and I want to thank my mentor, Jonas Dressler, for answering my questions. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Great work. And Pratyush, are you over there?
Yes.
Yes, I found you on the list. Yeah, you should have the presenter rights now. We see your screen, yeah. It's working fine.
Okay, so hi, my name is Pratyush Tiwari, and I am a pre-final year student currently pursuing my bachelor's in electronics and communication engineering here in New Delhi, India. And this year I'm contributing to PTV as a part of GSOC program. And PTV is basically a video editor built on top of GTK and GStreamer editing services. My project is titled Cut Mode, and I'm being mentored by Yatin Man and other community members as well. So let's quickly move over to the project. So this is how the UI PTV editor looks. So here you have your previewer, the properties and the assets. And what this project focuses on is this lower part, which is the timeline. As you can see, I have highlighted this zoom slider, which, as the name suggests, it's for scaling up and scaling down stuff on the timeline. So when you have more number of clips and you want to see all of them, then you need to scale it down so that you can see them all. And when you need to edit something precisely, you can zoom in to that portion and do the edits. And this is something which you have to repeat. You may have to repeat. So how we can improve this? So this takes up a lot of time. Like you could have used it somewhere else productively. So here we propose a new mini timeline, which is always zoom fitted. As you can see, that it draws all the elements which are on the timeline, and they are always visible. So that makes it really easy to navigate. You can navigate from any position to any other using single click, and you can also scroll. So what else this is not just a static view, it's like dynamic and it's in sync with the other timeline. You can literally just pick up the elements of this mini timeline and use them to rearrange. And you can also drop assets on this mini timeline. And it has some other features as well, like you can do all of the stuff you can imagine on the possibly imagine on this full timeline on the mini timeline. For example, you can trim clips as it's being shown, and you can select, you can directly drop effects and transition on the mini timelines. That makes it really easy. You don't have to change the zoom level anymore, and you can directly drop effects anywhere from this mini view. So that's it about my project. And if you need to read more detailed, like what all this proposes, you can visit my blog, and you can also visit the Genome blogs. And you can also contact me from my blog page. There are links to that. And thank you. That's it.
Thank you. All right, everyone. So this was the last presenting intern in our project. I hope you folks can catch up with them and follow their progress on the next posts in Planet Gnome, and make these contributors feel welcome in our community so they become future mentors and onboard the next generation of developers. And that's how we renew our community and keep our community growing. So thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest of GUADEC.